Hello, I'm so excited to be here representing an incredible project near and dear to my heart. My name is Heather Pesca. I'm Executive Creative Director of Vox Creative, Vox Media's in-house branded content studio. And today I'm going to be diving into a project called A Woman's Place, which is a documentary short made in partnership with KitchenAid, Digitas, and Ventureland. And today we're going to be in conversation with three individuals from that dream team of creators who brought this project to life, partners of mine in bringing this vision to fruition at a time that the world needs it more than ever. I'll begin today by introducing three incredible panelists who are here joining me, creative collaborators, partners in crime, starting with Mark Book, Head of Content for Digitas, Rob Sundi, representing KitchenAid, Head of Brands and Marketing at Whirlpool, and finally, Rayka Zehtabchi, Academy Award-winning director, who is the only one to truly bring this project to life. Thank you for joining me. Before we get into the conversation, let's take a moment to watch the trailer for the film A Woman's Place.
I would describe working in kitchens with my experience as being more like a pirate ship. It's like there aren't any rules. There's a lot of tension, there's a lot of conflict. It's more rough in the back.
At the very beginning, I was the only girl in the kitchen. Like, they didn't teach that in culinary school.
You can imagine the culture shock. People with foul mouths and like kicking chairs over and things like that.
If you can make hot food, it goes out on time and it's plated perfectly, like everybody kind of looks the other way. I'd been so fed up with how much I'd had to deal with in restaurants that I was just done. I had enough.
Speed comes with practice. The more you practice, the faster you become.
My next step is to open a restaurant.
It's always a miracle to take this vision and to pay for it all.
I got the sense that everybody was trying to scare me away from doing it. And all that did was push me to want it more.
To do what she's done, to sacrifice what she's left behind, brilliant.
They're like, you're the boss. I'm like, oh, I am, aren't I? Cheers to that. Yeah. Cheers to that. Depending on the size, we'll be doing the fried rice.
Thank you, Lord. We do come before you and give you honor and glory for your goodness and mercy to us. And Lord, we thank you for this wonderful food that Karen has prepared and for the fellowship around this table.
I've made it. I'm doing the thing. I'm playing restaurant, you know?
So back to our panelist. Again, we're so excited to have this team here. And I'd like to begin with thinking about and discussing the background of the project, the inspiration for it, and what really drove KitchenAid to partner with us, partner with this team, and truly walk the walk in creating something so special.
I would say, I think Rob and I were inspired by films at the Brand Storytelling at Sundance event. That was probably back in January of 2019. That was a good year, I think, for brand films. They had 5B from Johnson & Johnson. They had Words Matter from P&G. And I think, Rob, you and I sort of said to each other, well, if these companies can tell these types of amazing stories, why not KitchenAid, right? Like we have important stories to tell as well. So we started reviewing our brand purpose, the brand vision, researching the landscape of things going on really at a societal level. And we unearthed this amazing insight that, over 50% of culinary graduates are women, but less than 7% are executive chefs. And I think, Rob and I kind of looked at each other and it was like we immediately knew that this was a story that we were compelled to tell and was very aligned with, our brand purpose and our vision.
Yeah, and just kind of building off of what Mark said, when you see great work, and we saw some great work when we were at Brand Storytelling, it inspired us to almost kind of take a look in the mirror and saying, one, how can we tell compelling, thoughtful, authentic stories? But more importantly, how can we do it in a way that's right for our brand? And how can we almost engage consumers to act? So the first step that we took was really spending time immersing ourselves back into our brand and what our story is and what the history is of KitchenAid. And the most simplest thing that, kind of hit us over the head is, why do we exist as a brand? And we exist as a brand to create possibility in the kitchen. And so that was kind of light bulb number one, is why do we exist? And as we think about creating possibility in the kitchen, it's just not kitchens, within homes or apartments or condos, but food is made all over the place. It's all over the world. And how can we kind of create possibility, across, different places outside the home? And that's where this insight really stood out to us, is we have an opportunity to create possibility within kind of commercial kitchens and restaurants as well. And then specifically for women have always just kind of been at the DNA of the brand. The name of the brand was inspired by a woman. Like our door-to-door sales force was female-led. The inventor of the KitchenAid dishwasher, which was the first commercial dishwasher, that was a woman. And so we felt like we had an opportunity to make a change.
And speaking of stories, as we were going out and thinking about this project, once we decided what we wanted to do, and thinking about how to tell the story of 3 women in the culinary industry who reveal different dimensions of bias that still persists, we wanted to be able to reveal stories of people that were not already success stories, up-and-comers, the unknowns, and make sure that we were representing people that perhaps were overlooked. And so Vox Creative tapped our epic team of story hunters, which is a fancy name for our investigative journalists with whom we work, that we have in-house, that go out and find incredible stories of real people, ones you can't just Google. And we use those stories to uncover ways for brands to tell them, expose them, creating video, creating content around them, which is what we did for this project. Rayka, you are truly the only one we felt fit for telling the stories of these women, and we were so excited and grateful to have you come on board for this project. So much of your work is around incredible, bold stories around real people out in the world, like period, end of sentence, that really calls attention to issues that the wider population of the globe should be paying attention to, should be getting behind, should be taking action on behalf of. And in this case, you signed on to join not only a branded content team with a publisher, but also an agency and a brand in creating a documentary. And knowing that you have a very exceptional, very distinct vision creatively across all of your other work, that's something that we wanted you to bring to life. How did you manage to balance and approach the creative work to make sure that your vision came to the forefront while also balancing the needs of a brand, as well as respecting and elevating the stories of all of our characters?
Well, that's definitely a huge process and journey. And, I don't think it's so much about how I navigate it as much as it is about the collaboration between all the players. And, I can't say it enough how incredibly grateful I am to have had such wonderful partners and collaborations throughout this process. Because I think it really starts from the top, and in trusting and having confidence in the people and the creatives that you've selected to tell these stories. So there was never a situation where I felt like, even though I'm ultimately making a film for a brand, it never felt that way whatsoever. It felt like, I was sort of granted the permission to go out and make and tell these stories of these women. There's never KitchenAid logos or brand included or product included in the film. And always I was encouraged to really step up and be vocal about sort of the creative vision of the project, and supported throughout that entire process. So, it was a really, really wonderful experience. And, I hope that many other brands, in addition to KitchenAid, continue to treat their sort of collaborations and creative relationships in that way, and really entrust the filmmakers to go out and have strong visions for their projects.
We like to say on our team, and I talk to my team all the time about, good content is good content. Good stories and true stories are true stories. And people want to listen and read and watch those stories no matter what brand they come from often. as long as it's good, as long as it's compelling. And I think in this case, you made some very conscious choices in the amount that KitchenAid played in this, and what kind of a character KitchenAid was in this. Could you talk a bit about the choices you made around that to take a back seat and put story first, versus being more heavy-handed in KitchenAid's presence in the film?
Sure, I think it's a great question. We were really intentional at the onset of this work that this story was not about KitchenAid. This story was about the inequities that these chefs were facing. This story was about, you know, these women that were going through real life events, and kind of KitchenAid was just, you know, part of the process of helping to tell this story. And in order for us to really kind of have our shared values with our consumers, we had to tell this story in an authentic way. And the brand needed to take a back seat, because it started with the objective. The objective was to create awareness for this issue. And then secondly, we want to create empathy. And then last, you know, we want to act as a brand, and we want our consumers and we want the world to act once they have awareness and empathy for these issues. And so in order to do that, you know, the brand is going to take a much, you know, more limited role, and, you know, really for us to reach our objective. So there wasn't debate internally. There wasn't can we get this logo here? That just even wasn't part of the discussion, because we were so aligned up front on what was the role of this work.
And authenticity as well, right? You know, I think there's so much authenticity in this project. You watch it and you walk away from it and it feels so honest, so real. You know, even though it is like premium content and it does feel cinematic and beautiful, and you know, interviews are thoughtfully crafted and whatnot, it's still sort of all feels very authentic because it all comes straight from our subjects. And that was a process that you all went through beforehand, a vetting process. And you went through the same process when selecting your filmmaker as well. And so everyone that came on board really did feel like they fit.
Yeah, and I would say one thing that, you know, we had always talked about as an agency, and KitchenAid has always talked about from a brand, is, again, we're amplifying and we're generating awareness and telling these, you know, to your point, very authentic stories. But at the same time, it's just as important to have, you know, the women-led creative behind the camera, right? And so Rayka, you know, working with you is an amazing Academy Award-winning director who, you know, has won for this level of content at this sort of time frame, and from a short film perspective, to Heather, to Laura Keeler on, you know, the Digitas team and her creatives. I think that this has been very indicative in terms of throughout the process of not only being aware of capturing these moments, you know, on camera, but also making sure that the right folks are staffed behind the camera to tell those stories in an emotionally connected and authentic way.
And I'll just add too, you know, I think we've never needed human connection more than right now. In the midst of this pandemic. And I think it's a real testament to the power of storytelling. Just, you know, how much we've all kind of gathered around the television to watch a Netflix or a Hulu and to consume content, because, you know, we feel sort of connected to that humanity when we get to watch people on screen and watch, you know, stories being told and their lives unfolding, and especially in documentary. You know, I think it's really the most connected way to send a message to people. And, you know, it's something that drives me in everything that I do, because I've recognized the power of storytelling and how much it can, you know, affect you to turn on a film, a short film, feature film, whatever the length may be, and be transported into this other world that you're not familiar with. And to enter into these other people's lives, and to watch their struggle, to feel their pain, to go on this journey with these characters. That is one of, you know, I think the most powerful tools that we have and we've ever had.
I feel like you guys all said like some of the most powerful things, and honestly, and this is off the record or it stays in the video, like it's just so nice to actually feel like So something that so many brands and teams strive for that we've done with this, of being able to work with a team so passionate and dedicated to telling these stories, and that truly behind the scenes was that diverse group of people keeping each other sharp and honest and on point and engaged. And that's something that in my 15 years of work have only experienced a couple other times in the way that this project has gone. So thank you all for that.